Yeah.
And we are live. Welcome everyone to another episode of You Know What? Let me just say podcast. I'm your host Ray. With me as always is Father.
I don't watch baseball, but go Nats.
We have Xavier.
New York in the house.
We have Shining Wolf.
Hey everybody, shine on.
And though you can't see it, she's still here. Cosmosis Jones.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Well, we already know where about to get started. So, did y'all realize men get their periods too?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Okay. Well, basically, this is where we're starting at. Always, has decided to take off the Venus symbol off of their Tampax brand, and a lot of people had some views on it. And we're going to start with that one, starting with Xavier, if you don't mind.
So, many people will not agree with me, and that is okay. We all have our different views on many things and different opinions on many things. And this is my opinion. No one can change that, and I'm going to start. I feel like if you do not like something, start your own. I don't think they needed to make an uprise and change always and change their symbolism for feminism and on their packaging just because they're trying to say now that men have periods. Because I'm trying to think medically and scientifically if like what is considered a man? Looks and what you have as in inside of your body and the outside, or just off of what's inside and what's on the outside, like as in body parts. Because in my opinion, if you are a trans man and you are using pads still because you still have a uterus, why not just ask for a men's line of pads? Or why don't you use another brand? I don't see why is it that they're trying to make it seem like women are transphobic because they're saying no, leave our stuff on our packaging. And then the people are trying to say, well, what you women didn't know that was a Venus. A lot of women knew that the packaging, that the symbol was on there. Just because a lot of this generation don't pay attention to stuff like that, or they just didn't know. But I feel a lot of people who are a little bit older, they knew that because of how they used to advertise it back in the day. But and then of course, many don't know that Always have the brand has taken the symbol off, has taken it on. They've changed it before. But my whole thing is, if you're not liking that, it's quote unquote excluding, then don't use them or ask for a men's line. Because I don't know, I just feel like, even though it's not that big and important, but women have, always fought for representation, have always fought for their own thing, because everything is with a man. Everything is about a fellow man. In my opinion, I think it's important to have some things that make a woman, like, some women just want to feel like they're a woman and they're just like, this is mine, get your own. And that can be seen as selfish and some wrong in some people's eyes. But it's like, why change the whole brand and make them change their oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the thing that like, oh my god, I can't even think of what I'm trying to think right now. But no, like a quote that like a brand would use that represents woman.
Slogan?
Yeah, thank you. Change their slogan. I'm like, just get a men's line. or something that caters to men. Because to me, if is it that serious that it says is representing women? Like, if at the end of the day you're just throwing it in the trash, why does that matter? No one is stopping you from buying it. We're really seriously talking about it, and then some people say, well, at the end of the day we throw the package in the trash, so why does it matter? Well, if that's the case, why are you complaining that the symbol is on there? It doesn't mean something derogatory towards men that are using pads. And that's just how I feel on it. Some people don't like that opinion, especially since I am gay and I'm supposed to be with them and fighting for that. But I just feel like there's certain things that it's just you're fighting for nothing when you can either create your own or just simply say, hey, there are trans men that are using pads and we want something a little bit more masculine because it's too feminine looking. Because I also think that's a part of it too. Some people want to deny it, but I'm saying, like, I think it's also because they're just embarrassed to purchase they're looking like a man and they're sitting there purchasing pads for themselves. I think some of them feel like that as well. So that's just my view on it.
I like to interject here because I kind of have been seeing this whole controversy going online, and some people have opinions similar to yours. And I don't feel strongly either way. Like, I don't feel like, oh, great for them. Like, I'm so glad they accomplished this. And I also don't I don't feel like negatively towards what they're doing either. I felt like I don't really care what's on the packaging. I don't really pay attention. Like, if I'm buying it, it's for a certain purpose and that purpose only. But obviously, for somebody who is dealing with the kind of experience in life that they're experiencing, little nuances and things that we take for granted, as a woman, like for me as a woman, they see it as something more than that. A point that you raised was that if somebody wants something, then they should make it themselves. And I agree with you, but at the same time, how many times has that argument been said towards Black people and wanting like representation and the things that like we watch, as far as like the entertainment industry? And yes, there are people out there paving their own way and creating their own media that features Black people. But before we could even have the opportunity to do that, I mean, before it was easy enough or easier to make that opportunity for ourselves, having somebody, you know, make that for us or just to recognize us that we exist. And, it was a really meaningful step, and it was more than just I don't think that transgender people care about the packaging itself that much, more so that they want to be recognized for like who they are in society. And I feel like it was more than just like the symbology on the packaging. It was more about like just getting the world to kind of understand that transgender people exist, and to kind of like, when creating products, treat it as if keeping transgender people in mind when they do that. And I think that kind of was like more the goal than like they were really offended by this packaging, but rather like they just wanted to feel like included in the thought process and like making these products. So if they removed that symbol from the packaging, though, the woman's symbol, the Venus symbol, it didn't really make me feel like as a female I'm being erased, which is one argument that I saw. Like, and women were like, oh, like, I feel like my womanhood is being erased. I'm like, first of all, like, if they removed it and there was no argument from the trans community or whatsoever, like, say they just decided to rebrand their packaging, would you have noticed that at all and say, oh, my womanhood is being erased, why did you take that away? No, it's only because like you feel like trans people like are erasing it. It's just, I don't really feel like that's accurate. I just
It's because they made it a thing.
It's because they made it a thing, but like really it doesn't matter to us. It matters a whole lot more to them, and making them feel a part of the community and making them feel represented and accepted and recognized than it means to us. So like, why not let them have that? Like, if it's something that you really feel like you should like stand up for, like, I don't feel like the outside packaging of a wrapper for a fucking product that you're gonna throw away anyway. Like that doesn't really matter that much. But if it really matters that much to them, then like why not let them have it? I guess. Because like for me, like I guess like I have a line somewhere where I'm just like, all right, this is ridiculous. Like I'm not just all accepting, but like if it's not hurting anybody, that's like okay, this is not really affecting me or hurting anybody. I don't really care. Pretty much is like my like line in the sand. And if it's not crossing that, then like good for them if that can make their life better. So I mean that's all I have to say on that subject.
Anyone else got any opinions on this?
So I found all of this very interesting because it kind of reminded me of the Gillette ad where it was talking about like toxic masculinity and stuff, and then you had a whole bunch of men talking about, man, we're not like this, and I'm like, bro, calm down. Like, there's a message, obviously. Like, listen for the message. What is the message before you get all emotional and shit like that? And looking at both sides of the argument, two things that I've noticed. Number one, a lot of trans people wasn't really like reacting like that. I mean, you had certain ones that was, but for the most part, it was pretty relaxed from the transgender community side, from what I've seen. But then on the other side, it was a whole bunch of women, and it was women that leaned right. It was conservative women that was talking about they're erasing our womanhood, and I'm like, this is very interesting because like y'all pointed out before, when you're buying the tampons, you like the last thing you're looking for is the one with the Venus sign on it. It was just packaging for this is a woman thing, womanhood, and which is fine, which is cool. And their decision to remove it, I don't think it impedes on anything. Maybe it's just because maybe we're trying to be inclusive and we thought this was the correct direction. And I think regardless of what they did or not, people was going to use their stuff anyway because shit, people have menstrual. I mean, women have menstrual cycles. If you are someone that has a menstrual cycle, then you're going to buy a tampon. So those tampons are marketed towards you, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman or whatever you want to identify with. So this whole thing is it's just been very interesting for me to say the least because of like the reactions and seeing both sides really just kind of react and stuff like that. So yeah.
There's just certain things about it still that I'm still reading stuff on it, and I read some of these arguments, and I really feel like I try to understand some of it, but I don't know. It's just I just wish they would pick and choose what to fight for and what to really be upset about. And some people say like, well, they're not really upset. I'm like, well, you're upset enough for always to actually take it off their product because of how big it's become. And if that wasn't the case, then this wouldn't have garnered as much attention as it has. And another problem I have too is the whole thing. This is kind of like off subject because I'm still trying to figure out the whole trans thing because there are all types of trans in this world, and it's like who are the ones that's really complaining, and who are the ones that are just trying to fight for something and just complain about something because there's the type where they just want to physically look like a man, but they don't want to get everything done, or they want to hold on to this because it's a part of them. And it's like, what who's really saying it's not inclusive for men, and who's really just here just to make something out of nothing. And I don't know if it's going over people's heads because, like, I don't know if I'm articulating it correctly.
No, I agree with you. And I feel like there's a few points that we're going to talk about tonight that kind of go into, there's a small group of people making noise about it. And it's like, I don't know if it's like growing into like a huge issue because that small group of people are making that much noise, or because other people are picking up on some of the outrage, you know, quote unquote, that some of these people are having, us blowing up into a huge story because it pertains to like an issue that, you know, is talked about a lot.
Because I've seen
So,
more it's not inclusive or it's, transphobic than, oh, we just want to be a part of it, or we just want to be represented as well with the company, because
right. And it's like
Always is not the only brand, and that's what I keep saying. And I kind of got into it with my friend. I'm like, I know Always has the Venus symbol, but the other brands are not including trans on their thing. It's not like they're saying it's for everyone. I'm sure it's something on there saying for a woman. I'm like, so why are you guys specifically attacking them just because of a symbol? I'm like, because
You know,
there was a time when women were not having sanitary things for them
Right.
because of how men ruled this world, and they did something because of the strength of women. And I personally can see how some women can say you're trying to take something from us simply off of, and I hate to say it, simply off of because of men trying to run everything and not have women be seen and be heard, and they don't want nothing showing femininity, because like everything has something that deals with a man in it. And this was something that just represented women. Like, this is something for me. Like, this is not something men and women can do. This is just something for me. And now it's being
but
looked at as if they're trying to say,
it's
oh, well, you can't have it. I'm like, no, that's not what the company was
no, it's
doing.
not saying that women can't have it. It's literally for everybody. It's not taking it away from women and saying it's for
Exactly.
men now. It's saying it's for everyone, and there's not taking it away. It's like literally just opening it up to more than just women. And it's like it has to be exclusive for women or to be feminine. It's not like they're taking the packaging and like, we need the packaging to be more masculine. It needs to have like, you know, like, I don't know, like fucking chain lock fence, or like it needs to be blue. It needs to, like, you know, they're not trying to like take the feminine packaging and like make it more masculine, but rather just take a one symbol off. It can still be pink. It can still have women running on the beach or like whatever shit, you know, in the commercials that they have.
But then they would complain about that too, though.
Well,
If commercials was like women running or women in the commercials are pretty much only, or people that look like women, they'll complain about that too. Believe that.
but again, even still, they're not going to take all the women off the commercial, or all the women who
Yeah.
look like women off the commercial. There's going to be more inclusive.
Hmm.
And like, I don't really see that as something that's being taken away from women. They're not like, okay, no more pads for women because we fought so hard to get pads and now we're taking it away. Like, you're literally not taking, you're having the same exact thing that you fought for, that you had, except just being more inclusive. And it's like, how is that hurting you? Other than like, just, I don't know. To me, that seems more outraging and like offensive than you know, they're speaking up about it. Like, you seem more upset about it than they seem upset about wanting to be included. Like, you're more upset that they want to be included, and that's like kind of, you know,
I,
not cool.
I
So
will
if I may,
go ahead.
if I may interject here, just real quick, I think what it is, from the reactions that I've seen, is that at this point, I think people know what trans is. They just not with it.
Right. That's what it's about. They're just against trans, and that's like, I feel like why the argument is like against. It's not against you taking away your womanhood. It's against you being against trans people. Like, I have a lot of trans friends on my friends list on Facebook. I've not heard any of them complain about the packaging on you know, the tampons and shit, until I heard the women on my page complaining about them changing it.
Mhm.
So it's like, who's the more outraged here?
And that does make sense that they wouldn't be, because if you had other brands that were more inclusive, why would you complain about the one that isn't? It doesn't really make sense to complain about that.
I have a
Just go by the brands that are more inclusive or don't have the feminine label on it.
I mean, is it
I
really
do
like?
have another.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
My bad. My bad. I do have another question regarding this. Since we're still on the topic of trans, and we really haven't talked about this either. Um, how do y'all feel about the trans athletes running in sports? Mostly the trans women, the men that turn into women, going into the sports in the women's league and all that other stuff. Do you feel
They
like it's
dominate.
kind of like falls in line with the same thing?
That's one thing I don't agree with. Like, I don't feel that you can identify as a woman and compete at the same level
Cause,
because physically there is a difference.
Cause they
So,
dominating. They dominating the field.
because physically there's a difference between the bodies of somebody who was born
Man.
male and has those traits, because some people have traits of both female and male, but I'm talking about people who are born distinctly with male parts and muscular structure, and then
Bone density.
yeah,
All that good
there's
jazz.
differences, and so I don't think that you can compete in the same division, and like that's not, to me, being transphobic. That's just like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I want to be all inclusive as possible until like where it makes sense, and that to me doesn't make sense, for legit reasons.
Agreed.
But packaging or wrapper, like, I mean, whatever. Who
But
cares?
my thing about the packaging is this other packaging. Like other than that, like if they were just all like that, then I would understand. Or like majority of them was like that, I would understand. But you got this one brand that has a feminine sign on it, and you got all these other options, and you're mad about the one that has it.
Are they mad, or are they just asking to be
Mad
accepted?
asking. I
Because
mean,
like
it's one brand though.
right, but so what? I mean, maybe they're just telling them, hey, you guys should be more considerate of the fact that there is more than just women,
Yeah.
who identify, who have periods. And that's pretty much all they're saying. They're not outraged necessarily. Maybe some of them are, but
Are
it's like
they?
maybe it's just they're just trying to tell them that
Hmm.
so they can be more considerate of that when they produce their products. And not to say like, oh, I'm boycotting this brand because they have this symbol on it, so I'm going to buy from everywhere else. Maybe they don't feel that strongly, but they feel strongly enough that they see this and they're like, well, I feel like, I should be recognized, so I should reach out and say something. And if you want something in this world, then you should like kind of like go for it. And it's not necessarily that you're outraged or you're angry about it, but you just want to let people know because you exist, and people don't really treat you as if you exist because you're a part of the minority.
I just want to know, I'm going to say something a little bit off. I used to think when people were talking, they used to talk about being trans back in the day, like a lot of them used to say they felt like they were born in the wrong body. And a lot of them said that, they didn't like being in this body and so on and so forth. So they want to get rid of everything that represented that sex that they were born into and go into the sex that they felt like they were supposed to be. And I just want to know, how long do some of these trans men hold on to their uterus that produces the period cycle, and you know before they try to get a faux penis or whatever? Like, how long are they holding on to these things? Because like
Oh,
I said, I'm like, well, I mean, you're saying men have periods, but it's like, is that a man? And it's an ignorant question, but it's like, seriously though, like, okay, well, is that a man then? Because everybody knows, I don't care what anyone says, like, everyone knows there's a man and woman born. Like, I don't care. Like, every animal has a penis. Every animal has a vagina or
or
something
both.
of it. Something
Or
of
both.
it.
Hermaphrodite.
Yeah. Oh, well, intersex.
But it's like, if we're being funky, if we're keeping it real, it's like, come on, like, no, men do not have periods. The only ones that's having periods are the ones that's changing their sex. And then until you finish, are you even considered a man? Like, what? Like, and that's go back to my question. Like, okay, well, what are we considering a man then? Because, like I said, like the person that we were just talking about, that was racing in that what was that for? Like, what was that? Not hockey. It was
It was track and field, and
no,
one is a cyclist. There's
yeah,
like a couple of them.
the cycling one. Some of them legit say, because I say I'm a woman, you have to acknowledge me as a woman. So now I'm a trans woman. Like, that's, some people go that far. They don't get nothing else done. They just take a little bit of hormones. They, dress in women's clothing. They wear their makeup. They grow out their hair, and they're like, "Well, I'm a woman. I'm a trans woman. So you need to acknowledge me as a woman." And it's like, okay, boo, but you're legit physically looking. You're a man, and you have all man body parts. So
So
are you a
there's the
woman?
line,
And
right?
are you able to be in this track and field or in this cycling group that's for women?
I like the
But
GameStop dude. I mean,
yes,
lady.
and it's like, okay, well now, especially those who want to keep their man voice, like Caitlyn Jenner, because they don't want to go that far. I said, okay, well, didn't you say you felt like you was born in the wrong thing? You didn't want to look. You hated being a man, but you're still keeping your male voice. Like, I don't. Sometimes I just feel like, just say you don't want to. Just say you want to wear women's clothes, or just say, this is such a whole nother subject. I know. I'm sorry, y'all, but it's like, just say
Right.
that
If
you
you
just want
start
to
getting away with trans
wear
boys,
women's
don't ask
clothing.
trans people what the gender they are.
Because at this point, it's like, are we really about to go into there's no gender? It's like, I don't know.
Where's the line?
I don't know. It's like, and then when you start talking like that, then you're looked at as being a bigot. You're looked at as being small minded. But it's like, no, girl. Like, seriously, like, what's going on? Just like the guy who was upset that the person wouldn't wax his balls, and it's a place that waxes
Oh
vaginas.
yeah, yeah, I heard about that.
Like,
It was a female waxing facility for
right.
waxing. The genitals get it smooth. And the trans guy went up in there, and they said they wouldn't work on him because they only work on female genitals. They're trained to work on female genitals.
She lost her business.
Mm.
Which
She
is
lost her
sad
business.
because the guy lost the case too, and they should like at least give her business back. At least I'm hoping.
How does that work? How do you lose your business? I thought if you lose your business, you don't got no more patrons.
Yeah, we're getting to those times, man. They're getting clout. They're getting power.
Also, like
Well,
Okay.
the government shut it down or something.
No, not that. She lost so much money because of the lawsuit. Like
Okay.
paying for the lawyer. Yes, I think that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
well,
Any last words on this before we move on?
We need a line, and we need it
no.
because
Oh,
this is get. This is like, I understand that that we want inclusion and shit like that. Like, that's fine, but at some point there has to be a line before, because right now shit is kind of starting to get out of hand. You know what I mean? And that's not trying to be disrespectful, but when we've been in a certain dichotomy the whole time, we're not just gonna let it go because you don't feel that way. You can be non-binary, you can be trans, but at the same time, there are stuff that's still for us as well. We can include you in that, but you can't exactly complain if we do.
If you
Right.
don't, you mean if we don't?
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm.
My last thoughts on it is definitely there should be a line as to what makes sense. But as far as making sense of where that line is, it needs to be based in an understanding of all parties included and not just opinions based on, different sensationalized things that have gone on, including those groups of people. Like, we really need to work to understand each other on a scientific level and a social level, and to try to be accepting of what makes sense, based on our best knowledge. That's all I
boom.
have to say.
Mr.
All
Ray.
right, on to our next subject. I want to talk about Gina Rodriguez and the whole her saying the N word shit. Wallace, you done talked about it in your final thoughts, but I really did want to use that as a topic, but time went on. But a lot of people, from what I've seen from the time it happened from now, a lot of people, there was people that was on her side, like one of the dudes from Boys to Men, Amarla Negra, and there's a lot of women that don't like Gina Rodriguez, saying that she can't say it at all. It's like, I know she doesn't say she's Afro Latina, but a lot of people think she's full of shit, and she's been on the record of saying a lot of anti-black things. So I
Mm.
want to get y'all's opinion on that, and basically the whole N word of who should say the N word entirely. Who want to start?
All right. So what I heard is that what I heard arguments people were making. They was making an argument that she's Afro Latino, so she's black too. And I wanted to know what y'all thought about that type of thing. Like, are all people like a lot of Afro Latinos are black though? So like they actually have black features. So what do y'all think about that?
So here's my thing, right? Afro Latinos can say it because they're black, but because race is kind of so like race is kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of wishy washy. There's kind of like a gray area because the Hispanic culture in particular, they were very they're like a lot of them are mixed with the
Yeah,
natives
yeah.
that were there, the African slaves and the Europeans. Like they all just kind of mixed together to create one kind of group or one ethnic group, right? So if you go to like if you go to like the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Cuba and Ecuador and Colombia and Brazil and all those places, you will find people that look just like us, like just straight niggas.
Mhm.
So Afro Latinos can't say it, but because of like the mixing and like the history and also the attitudes that were developed because in areas that were colonized by the Spanish, they would actually claim their kids. So they will give them their last names and then say, "You're my child. I love you." And then they become the oppressors. This was very huge in the Dominican Republic, which is why when you go there, if you remember, they was killing black folks. When black folks go over there, and some of them just wind up dead. There was that one baseball player that was shot over there, almost died. So that whole history there, it's still prevalent today, and those attitudes still haven't really changed. There was that they have this mentality of bettering the race, where you marry someone who's lighter than you, or have children with someone who's lighter than you, so your kids can have that good hair, or your kids can have that lighter skin, so they can get farther in life. This was literally their mentality. So when it comes, and so it's interesting because in America, our racism is like overt. When we experienced racism, it was Jim Crow laws, it was blackface, it was people getting lynched. Like, bro, you could physically see that we were getting, shitted on. So there was just certain shit that we had to cultivate for ourselves for our own survival. And we tried the whole inclusion thing. We tried to include Latinos and stuff like that. But usually you'll find out that they be just as anti-black as the white folks. So when we and of course, not all of them, because we still have we still have like the Fat Joes and who else? Who else? Who else? I mean the Fat Joes and like other Hispanic people that we kind of like let in because they've always been respectful of the culture and they was always rocking with us. Like usually if you and I know Xavier, you especially know this. Like in New York, there's usually Hispanics right there with the black folks and
Hmm.
the projects and shit like that. So we created our own little group in terms of that. So those Hispanics, when they say nigga, New York folks are just like, yeah, I mean, we're all in the same place. We all talk to each other the same way. So it's cool. But we're getting to a point now where, politically shit hasn't changed for us. And, we're really trying to like push more black love and stuff like that so we can try to empower ourselves. And what we've noticed is a lot of Latinos don't like us like that. Let's just keep it a buck. Let's tell the truth here. And they want to say nigga when it's convenient. It's like that saying, everybody want to be a nigga until it's time to be a nigga. So when Gina Rodriguez said that, I just felt like it was a representation of those type of Latinos that could pass for white. Because let's be honest, Gina Rodriguez can say she's Afro Latino. You take one good look at her and be like, bitch, where? You don't look Afro Latino at all. So like, okay, even if that was true, like, and you can pass or whatever. She said in the Sway interview that her father was dark skinned. And then when we pulled up the receipts of her father, this dude looked like he could be in the cover of Us magazine. Was like, what? He's not gonna be considered no nigga. He's not even dark skinned. He may be dark skinned in terms of the whiter Hispanics,
That
but
nigga olive skin,
yeah.
but he's not dark.
Well, I have a question real quick.
Uh-huh.
So because she's light skinned though,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's mostly because, and it's not a dig at you or nothing. It's just
Yeah.
that I feel like because she's light skinned, a lot of people are saying no. But in the black community, why is it okay for light skinned blacks to use the word then? Because there are plenty of light skinned Hispanics with
Mm-hmm.
dark family members. Like one
Right.
might be dark, a sister might be dark, the other sister might be light. But because that one sister that's light skinned got famous and hung around a few more white people than others, and because she's not acting like, Afro Latina esque,
Mm-hmm.
is it not okay for her to say nigga?
So
But if she was La Negra, what's her name?
Marla Negra.
Amada's complexion,
Mm-hmm.
is it okay then? Do
So
you get what I'm trying to say?
yeah, I get what you're trying to say. So to answer that question, it like I said, it kind of depends on like where you're at because like I said, the Hispanics, when the Spanish colonizers, they claimed their kids, so they're still niggas. You understand me? But they don't claim their nigga side because they were claimed by their colonizers, so they don't claim that. So what we're saying is, so basically what I'm saying is, if having African admixture made you black, you would have claimed that shit a long time ago. But we had those people that were like, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. Or you have jet black people talking about, oh, I'm not black, I'm Hispanic and shit like that. Those
Well,
are the type of people that we're talking about. Because you can't say you could be black and we can physically see that you're black, like, bro, like they don't like your ass. And you'll be like, no, no, no,
Right.
no, no, no. I'm not black. I'm not black. I'm not y'all. I'm not y'all. And then when we got shit popping, you try to come over here and say the N word like you one of us after all this time you denying your blackness. And we're saying, nah. I feel like that's what it is most of the time. But in the case of Gina Rodriguez, like Ray mentioned before, she said anti-black stuff before. So I don't know where she's coming up with this. I'm Afro Latina, and all this other stuff when there's literally no receipts. Even and okay, she has African admixture. Even let's give her that. She has African admixture because of the history of the Hispanic people and stuff like that. Okay, sure. But like I said before, if having African admixture made you black, y'all would have claimed that shit and y'all would have not turned it away like it was some disease. Because
Excuse me, father.
huh?
Here's here's my thing, and I think this is fair. If your direct ancestors wasn't called nigger, then you can't use the word nigger because the reason why American blacks use the word is because they taking it back. But these Hispanic blacks have not been called nigger in the country that they come from. So why should they get to use the word?
Um okay. I see what you're saying, right? And to a certain point, I agree with you. But I still think they should be able to say it because if they came here to America, they would still be called nigga. If you really want to keep it a buck, because you can have a Hispanic person, and let's say it's a light skin, right? And let's say it's a pretty light skin, fairer hair or whatever. But there's
Mhm.
obviously black in him. He's mixed, but we still gonna claim him because he has African admixture. And let's even say that he claims his African heritage, right? So then he comes to America. He migrates to America, and white kids start calling him nigga, 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 nigga. Let's say like back in the 50s. So then by that logic, then he should be able to say nigga too. And if he has children, let's say, and if he has children, um, if he happens to have children with like a black woman, then they can say nigga. But then again, it becomes muddled if not mixes, but like if he marries a white woman or he has children with a white woman, then would they be allowed to say nigga because they have African admixture too? But then again, it would depend on how they look like because back in those days, if you had fairer skin, you know what I'm saying, the less likely you were to be called that word. But you still have the blood in you. That's why it becomes wishy-washy, especially in the Hispanic community, because again, the Spanish colonizers claimed their kids. They didn't call them nigga. But in America, it didn't matter if the slave master got with the slave, the result of that child was still a slave. You understand? So it's like where did your mentality come from? You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing.
I
Um,
Oh no, go ahead, Cosmos. Go ahead, Cosmos.
okay, so I guess my thing on it is I used to really like care a lot about people saying the word nigga and like who gets to say it or not. And like my definition was if you hadn't come from the same struggle that African Americans have and like, being considered like the bottom of the totem pole and like, said called a nigger and all that stuff, then you don't get to say it. At this point, it's just like it's not like it shouldn't be considered like a privilege. First of all, black people shouldn't be calling each other that. And it's like, and then we get all up in arms about who else gets to say it and who doesn't. And it's just like, I mean, at the end of the day, like if you haven't come from the black struggle, if you're not from the hood at all, and you're saying it, like, or you're not black, and you're saying it, then it's like I kind of gonna look at you like a poser, but I'm not really gonna get upset about it. It's just like, all right, well, that's whack, but like I don't. It doesn't really offend me because, like, I mean, who are we to even call each other, niggas? When we know how historically, like, what that's meant, and it's just like we're trying to take back the word for ourselves, but then we're spending more time arguing over who gets to say it or not. Um, And it's like, she wasn't just saying it just as like yeah, that's my nigga or whatever. Like she was singing along to a song that said it. And so at that point, she has to censor herself to like not say it. And some people have the forethought to do that. And like, they consciously think about these things in terms of how it might make somebody else feel. But like some people don't really even put that much thought into their interactions. Like they just do what they do and say how they feel. And then other people get upset about it. And it's like a problem. And it's very conscious of you to there was a case where Kendrick Lamar invited
Yo,
this white girl
I
on
cannot
stage
fucking stand that shit. I cannot stand. I couldn't stand that shit.
to sing
He
along with
pissed.
him, and then
He
when
pissed
she
me
sang
off.
the song accurately as like what he said because she was white, he's like, oh no, like that, get off the stage, like you whack for that shit. It's just like, I mean, but she was singing your lyrics, but it's like, well, she should have known to like bleep that part out and everything like that. And I'm just like, well, she wouldn't have to if like we weren't so ignorant as to be using it ourselves. But I know
Exactly.
that's not something it's not gonna stop happening. So
Because you gotta
It's
realize
not.
that white people buy these tracks a lot.
Yeah.
everybody does.
Hello.
Everybody does,
When
but
you
they
go to
they
these
they
Because
the
we're
concerts,
cool.
they they
man, when you
they,
go to these
they
concerts,
are
it is
they're the
70%
main
white.
market though.
This like 70 to 80% of your audience is white. The other
Yeah.
the other percent is the color people. Majority
Okay,
of concert goers are fucking white. Kendrick
okay.
Lamar's
Yeah.
stupid ass should never have fucking invited her on that goddamn stage. I ripped him a fucking new one on Facebook for that bullshit. Out of everybody on that damn shit, he could have invited some fucking black person to come on there. But what he do? Invite the white girl to do what? Rap the song that has the word nigga in there the most out of all his damn songs. Let me tell you
That
something.
was
I don't fucking care about this goddamn word as much because I'm sick of the damn word. I am sick of
Right.
people arguing over who can say it, who cannot. Oh, you're not black enough to say fuck you, bitch. How about you stop using it? Because we're the only
Meanwhile, all
race.
the all the real woke people are like looking at this whole argument and just saying y'all all stupid. Like the fact that you're arguing over who can say it, who shouldn't. Like nobody should be saying it. Like you
No
should not be
one.
owning
We're
this
the only
word.
race that still uses a derogatory term as
No,
endearment. Honestly, because I don't hear no Jewish people calling each other that word. I can't even remember what the word is. It's this real bad word. You don't even hear it anymore because that's how much
Is
they
it the S
made
word?
sure it got put in the past. I don't hear
I
no
will.
Hispanics calling each other wetback. I don't hear no well, white people call each other rednecks, but that's not even really a derogatory word. Their necks really
But
do
I
be
I was
will
about to
say that
say
like
redneck's not really derogatory.
Native American people do own the word Indian, which like is obvious. It's not necessarily derogatory, but it's like a miscategorization of like their entire like
right. 'Cause I'm
race
gonna
of
say, I mean,
people.
like there is a race of people that are Indian,
In Asia.
Right, exactly. And it's just
so it's
like,
like
but since they were called that for so long, they just kind of own that word. And it's like, well, it's our
right.
word now. It kind of reminds me of like how black people like how we do with like nigga. It's like in a different way, but it's still like, why would you claim
But
that? Like,
honestly, we are
that
really
was
the
made
only
out of
one with
ignorance.
a word that is meant to suppress. We are really seriously the only one that still fucking uses it so much as almost like trying to pretend like it's such an endearing thing when a lot of times we don't use it as an endearing thing. A lot of times when we're arguing, we say the word, or a lot of
Or
times when
making
we're
fun of
rapping
somebody.
and trying to harass somebody, we're using the word. Like
Look
it's
at
not like we like
this nigga.
Yeah, this
sometimes
nigga right here.
sometimes they be like, "What's good, nigga? What's good?" Okay, yeah, sometimes we do that,
He's
but a
crazy.
lot of times it's for
Right.
negative. And I'm waiting for people to fucking wake up. Wake the fuck up. Like stop using the damn word. If you don't want your other race of audience to use that word, how about you find another goddamn word? Get a
Okay.
Right.
damn dictionary, get a thesaurus, get something, and use a different motherfucking word because
Right.
you know damn well most of your audience is white, and when they are rapping to your song in the audience, I'm guaranteeing you no one is saying, "Yeah, cause this boop boop is ooh ooh." Like, no, they're not doing all that. They're rapping right
Right.
along.
It's such an easy thing to have outrage about,
Shit,
and it's just like it's so boring. Like, come on, like there's bigger fish to fry. We
there's
can
bigger
have
fish to fry.
more important things to be upset about than someone saying nigga, like when you
Okay.
shouldn't be saying
Now
yourself.
it's definitely yes, of course. If someone's coming at you trying to use it as a derogatory way and trying to, really belittle you, yes, of course, raise hell about it. But other than that, I'm over people saying and then they be ready to slap somebody. I said, why don't you slap the fellow black person that's beating up on his girlfriend or being disrespectful on the fucking train? Why don't you jump up and slap him when he's doing that? But no, you want to be getting up and ready to beat on this white man for being like for rapping to another song or saying, "Oh nigga, please" to his one little black friend. You ready to slap him down for that though? I'm like, fuck out of here. Like, use this energy for something else. I'm
Okay.
Right.
over it.
Okay.
I am over it. And also, wait, hold on, I'm not done yet because I need to talk about Miss Gina. Let me tell you something. Okay, she was rapping along to the song. The way people were so outraged, I'm like, give me a fucking break. She did not use it in a bad way, and y'all know it. Okay? Because if it was a song that had something to do with another race of people and using it as a slur, we would be saying it and running it to the ground. But because we are oppressed as well, it's like, what? It's okay for us to say it? Oh, it's okay for us to say wet back in a song, but no one can say nigga in a song? Like you can't be upset when someone uses something of ours, but then when we use something of theirs, it's like, oh well. Like it's not right. It's wrong is wrong. Don't use theirs, and we shouldn't be using ours. Like stop. I don't think what she did was that great of a deal. Like I don't even know why she even fucking apologized. I would have been like, girl, fuck all y'all. Y'all know I'm just singing a damn song. I'm not
Yeah.
saying sorry. That's why I'm
Her
probably not.
manager
That's why I
said
can never probably be famous because there's gonna be a lot of times I'm saying fuck you. I'm not saying sorry for nothing because y'all
her
getting upset
manager
for
told her
nothing.
to.
We know.
People get upset about nothing nowadays. Fuck out of here. Mad about nothing because she's singing some damn Fugees. Tell Lauren Hill don't use the fucking N word then. She coming out with new music. She better not put no fucking N word in there.
I'm basically, yeah. I'm basically in agreement with everybody though, because I've always said who could say it. To be honest, no one could say it because nigga in the definition means the ignorant person. So why would you? The fact that we did turn into a type of endearment, that's one thing. But at the same time, that same word could be used as an insult, like calling someone a bitch ass nigga, and then you're gonna be ready to fight somebody. So
You
that
ain't
word,
shit, nigga.
yeah, you ain't shit, nigga. You ain't shit, nigga. You bitch ass nigga. You everything. It's been used as good things. It's been used as bad things. Now I don't understand. Even though I use it like 45 times a day, like Paul Mooney, I still don't I still don't understand why people want to say it so badly. And I do. And a lot of black people don't like to admit this out in public, but I know some of them do. There are a couple white people that they have let say nigga, but they don't want to say that we've let them say nigga because they don't want to be labeled a coon, or they don't want to just hear it from black folk. The whole thing about the whole thing about the N word is very hypocritical. But as far as Gina Rodriguez goes, and I say this about anybody, like as far as the whole anti-black thing and all that other stuff, as someone who is half black and half Panamanian, I've always considered myself black. My grandfather's dark skinned. My grandmama's she's lighter than my grandfather, but she's still past black. Like I whole like if you look at us, we're just dark. We're dark as hell, and well, not as dark as like most people, but still dark. But I still looked into myself as a black man, and I've always claimed my blackness. The only problem I have with most people is that they jump in and out of the whole black thing, what Wallace says. Most of the Latinos they want to be black when it's convenient, and when it's not convenient, they'll say they're Latino or Latinx. So they kind of like jump sides. It's not the people that say they're Afro Latina and like really like go with the Afro Latina thing, like a Marlon Negra, a Tahiri Jose, Dasha Palenko, a Fat Joe. They're the ones I don't have a problem with. I don't know if Takashi 69 calls himself an Afro Latina, but I know
He does
him
not.
as a New Yorker, he just used it. Huh?
He does not.
He does not. Okay. I've
But my
always
thing, so
cringed.
wait, real quick though, why is it okay for Fat Joe to say it out his mouth? Who said that he never
I
talked
think it's just
crazy? Because like, how we know? Like, how do we seriously know he don't be talking crazy? Because when you
We
get
don't.
around when you get around your people, you start talking real greasy. Everyone does it. It's like, but why are we allowing, like you said, why are we allowing certain people to do it and not certain other people? Because honestly, I've been looking up the stuff that Miss Gina said that's supposed to be so anti-black, and I'm not really seeing this super anti-black stuff. Like somebody tried to use the thing about when she's saying Latina, Latina something like not Latina power, but it was like Latina something. I'm like, okay, girl. I mean, it's not like Hispanics were never going through issues as well, because I mean we see what's going on now with people in these fucking camps, okay, and at the border. Like, let's not play like as if they don't get drugged through the mud too. But it's like, I don't know, like, why is it? I just don't see why we do allow certain people to do and say certain words and others we don't. Just like you was talking about the white people, those white people that live in like
Mhm.
only
Everything I needed to turn my
and
damn
have
name
all black
was
people.
in
Yeah,
that
they do that
computer.
shit.
It's gone. I am calling from my
What is,
phone, so it looks like you owe me.
what is that?
Not
I'm,
nothing to do.
I'm sorry.
No,
Finish
I
your
mean that's
statement,
that's
Xavier.
kind
I
of all
couldn't hear
I
you
was.
at there.
This.
That was kind of all I was saying. I was just saying, like,
Oh,
also like
So,
I wanted to tap in about like the kind of ways people that do
so,
saying nigga that get
um,
the allowance to do it.
what I want to say in regards to the word nigga is I see both sides of the argument. I see what y'all are saying when you say we shouldn't be saying that word because it's the history behind it and the bloodshed behind it and the violence behind it. There should be no reason for us to call ourselves that. And then I understand the other people who say, well, we're using that to take back our power. We're using that word. We're reclaiming that word, to, empower ourselves and to rid that word of all its bloodshed. Because if it was truly made for us, then we can take it and, basically kind of run with it. I understand both sides.
For how damn long? Shit, it's been 30 years, over 30 years.
The thing that But the thing that makes all of this very interesting is that when it comes to the word nigga, like it has a certain like the meaning for one person is not going to mean the same thing to another person,
Nope,
right?
especially the
So
age group.
yeah, so when other people are saying it, and there are black folks that get mad at the other people for saying it, it's like you haven't been through what we've been through, so what gives you the right of you saying it? At least when it comes to us, we know that we shouldn't say it, but to our point, it's a word that's associated with us, so why not just reclaim it? Because y'all gonna call us that anyway. There's plenty of Hispanics that call black people nigga in a derogatory way. There's plenty of white folks that still call black people nigga in a derogatory way. Some Asians do it. So if y'all have that mentality and there's anti-blackness in your community, then we might as well just reclaim it because you're gonna call us that anyway. It might not be, the majority, but there's a good amount of people that still have those anti-black sentiments. So okay, we all niggas then. All right, you can't say it. Boom, problem solved. But except it's not. Of course, it's not that simple. But I would think that is the mentality that's behind it. And also to the point of like just people getting mad at small shit, that I 100% agree with you. Because when I saw the video, I was like, oh, okay, all right, she's saying nigga, she finna get dragged. And then I just went on about my day. But at the same time, it's like I'm not gonna lose my character because you done said nigga. I've heard nigga all my damn life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna get mad if someone said it. White people been saying nigga more than we have. So it's like, why am I going to get upset? Why am I going to lose my cool because someone already done said it? If that person want to deal with you, he can deal with you. Me personally, and pretty much everyone in this podcast, if a white dude called us a nigga right there, I mean, yeah, we'll probably be taken a little back, but I'm not finna go to jail over it. You feel me?
I'm sure am not.
Yeah, I'm not finna go to jail for it, but
Shit.
but it's like you say though, Xavier, someone else might, beat your shit in. And if that happens,
Exactly.
shit, you know what I'm saying? Probably you just said it to the wrong nigga. But I think we're getting to the point. I think we're getting to a point where black people, we like, let's be honest, black people, we've been inclusive. We've been inclusive because since we've suffered the most, we like to include other people, yo, come here, you know what I'm saying, and do all that shit. But then we've taken shit from them too. So like when it comes to the word nigga, I feel like that's like the only thing that we have to like flex with, and we use that to like overly gatekeep because we've done a shit job of gatekeeping everything else. Hip hop's not gate kept no more. Black women hairstyles is not gate kept no more. Like we've done such a shit job of gatekeeping our culture and our shit. This also includes Africans too, because whenever a Chinese man or a white man goes to Africa, they all lose their shit talking about, oh my God, you are my God. Like I've seen that shit all the motherfucking time and I'm tired of it. And I think it's a diaspora wide thing. It's just some people, some of our people actually worship the fuck out of white people. And to see that, so like when we see that combined with the fact that that this word means a certain thing to us, and also combined with the fact that we are fucking terrible at gatekeeping our shit. Whenever we see someone, whenever we see someone that's outside our culture trying to take from us again, we get reactionary. We want to, hey, no, 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 don't do that. Don't fucking do that. Because we're a psychologically destroyed people. Yeah, of course, it's been 400 years. We've had plenty of time to make amends. We have plenty of time to get ahead and shit like that. But we're not so far, but then again, we're not so far removed from the civil rights movement, from Jim Crow and all that. That's like a generation ago, if you really think about it, a generation or two ago. That's not very long. So we still have a lot of trauma to get therapy for. We still have a lot of shit that we as a community need to really come together and talk about, and kind of have like a common ground on. But I'm of course you're gonna have Negroes that's just gonna go rah rah over the smallest shit just because of the mentality that was placed for them. So at this point, at this point, if you're not that kind of person, fine. But if you are that kind of person, fine. But when we check your ass for it, don't say shit because you making a block hot for all of us, doing all that rah rah shit, getting mad over a damn word. All right, she said, nigga, move on.
Okay, let's go.
All right, all right. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We're gonna go ahead and go on to the next topic. Do y'all want to talk about what's going on in China, or do y'all want to talk about the My Hero Academia controversy about one of the girls' chest bust size?
Oh Lord.
I want to talk about what's going on in Hong Kong because I feel like we should talk about something important now. Because the last thing was just like, I felt like it wasn't like a huge dire issue. But I definitely feel like what's going on in Hong Kong is, if you guys want to talk about something else, then I mean, I don't, whatever everybody wants to talk about. Shall
I
we take
agree.
a
I
vote?
feel like we should go on Hong Kong.
Um, I guess we can start with the Hong Kong. Just basically, just to keep it short, how do y'all feel about what's going on in Hong Kong, and do y'all feel like it's going to affect us in America soon? Because it's obvious, like some people, like LeBron James has had some comments about China. People have been up in arms about it. One of the GM owners of the Houston Rockets have talked about it. People have their ways about it. South Park has done a couple episodes about it. So I want to know your opinions about what's going on in Hong Kong, in China in general.
Well, before we get to any of that, can someone explain it for the good people out there that might not know what this is?
I can explain it. So basically, what's going on in Hong Kong and China are treated as a part of the same country, but under different rules. Hong Kong was a colony of Britain. I'm not exactly sure what year they gained their independence, but when they did, they have a different set of rights than the mainland of China. So they're pretty much ruled under different like standards. And so that means that they have more, like they have freedom of speech, which they don't have in China, like on the mainland in China. And there's like something else too. But basically, the whole protesting thing got started because China wanted to be able to extradite uh, prisoners or people who are found guilty of some crime over to the mainland of China in order to rule, I guess, what would happen to them. And Hong Kong felt that since they have different rights, then they could target protesters and activists over in Hong Kong and give them like much harsher penalties for things that they have freedom of speech, and if they say something against the Chinese government, which they have the right to do that, then they can be extradited and brought over to the mainland and given harsh penalties. So it's pretty much as if they don't have those rights that they are entitled to.
Especially after you showed me all the pictures proving that he's obsessed with me. So he paid your corrupt, dirty ass to get rid of Lucius. So we got you back.
What is
That man. So,
I love this story. Overly ambitious federal process.
Okay, so basically, they've been protesting to take away this bill that was put forth in order to extradite prisoners over to the mainland so they'd be punished at a different set of standards than they would over in Hong Kong. Um, and after the protests went down, I mean, things just really got crazy. There was clashes between the police and the protesters. They were not allowing them to wear masks because they wanted them to be able to be identified. And so they started protesting against that. They started having different sets of demands. At first, it was just to get that bill out of the way or that piece of legislation out of, I don't know what their version of Congress is, but pretty much so that that wouldn't go through. And then they started demanding that the people who were being arrested would not receive such harsh penalties, that there's like a 5 point thing, and so they had like different sets of demands that they wanted. So because of that first piece of legislation that's already been retracted, a bunch of other things started to come to light as far as what they wanted. Independent investigations on police brutality, and things like that. So some of the things that they were fighting for, um, kind of goes into like what protests all over the world, and like as far as people being able to dissent against their governments, in an effective way and not be prosecuted just for disagreeing with the government or like trying to fight back against things that are unjust. Um, it kind of speaks to everybody and like what it means to, fight back against what is wrong. And pretty much what they're fighting for is what we could all be fighting for. And there's protests going on like all around the world. So it's like everybody's kind of looking at Hong Kong and what the results of their protest is to see like, well, if it can happen over there, then if they can make progress, then maybe we can make progress over here too. But China's and trying to censor everything that's in support of their protest. Because I mean, honestly, it is starting to get a little out of hand for them. But I mean, that's the nature of um, dissent. But it can spin out of control, and if things aren't put in check. But that's what happens when you push things too far. You might make it so that you can't reel it back in. Um, like kind of like rioting, like when you keep, as far as like police brutality in America, you keep pushing it and pushing it until people get fed up and riot, and then you can't like stop it. It's like already a wave that like has already happened. So I mean, basically, that's kind of what's going on over there.
I feel like what's happening in Hong Kong, as far as the protesting and the people, I honestly feel like people here won't go that far. And I would love for us to go that far, statements, but we cannot go that far just simply off of the police and the SWAT teams here do not have the same ability to hold back, unlike America, because even if people are peacefully protesting, they tear gas and they mace and they use excessive force. Over there, they weren't really doing that. Like, even though the people were throwing things at, they were throwing things at the police and they were just using a shield. They still were keeping their composure and not trying to beat them up. And I just don't see that happening here because I feel like as soon as one person throws a punch, you're gonna have that newbie on the SWAT team or that newbie in the police force that's gonna start shooting, and then it's just gonna be a massacre. I just don't. I wish that can happen here. Everything that's going on in Hong Kong, I really hope it comes to an agreement soon, and they.
It, apparently, it kind of has like the main thing that they were protesting against has already been retracted. It's just that since that has been retracted, they have more demands that were not
Right,
originally on the list. And it's just kind of keeping it going.
right, and
And there's like I'm not sure. There's a lot of clashes between the police and the protesters there, and like even they
I
had
feel like
shot a
now,
live round. Yeah, like things are getting really violent over there.
yeah,
Like
now
I
at
don't know if
first it was a
anybody's
little
died
bit
yet, but
better,
somebody's definitely been injured. Like their eyes been fucked up. Like one of them, a bunch of protesters were wearing like red eye patches in like solidarity
right,
with like that person who got injured, and then somebody got shot in the chest with like a live round.
right. Because at first it was going good, but I feel like since it was going on like almost 2 weeks, I think that's when like everything started getting a little bit more violent.
Yeah.
But I would love for like a Marie Antoinette moment to happen here during protests, and like you're like, okay, well, you're not gonna change. We're gonna get you out. We're gonna burn this place down, just like what they're doing in Chile or Chile. But I definitely think that that can trickle over here though, because y'all remember what happened in DC last year or the year before, when people were just running around and like breaking the Starbucks windows and was wearing the mask
I
and was
was,
protesting. I was out there when I
That was
yeah,
the
saw
me
it.
too. I was
inauguration.
there. I
I
was,
I
think that was the inauguration, right?
yeah,
huh?
that was the inauguration of Trump,
I
and
was
I was
there for
out
that.
there.
It
Yeah.
it was kind of fucking scary. Like I felt like it felt like okay. I mean, obviously I don't know what it feels like, but it just felt like something was going on, like as if like the world was ending or something. Like it the area that I was in, like all you saw, it was like smoky out there. You're just seeing people breaking stuff and people with masks on running around, people screaming. It was mayhem. And I'm like,
Yeah, it was pretty
it's
crazy.
yeah, and like I'm like, what's
Um,
happening is not even that violent, but I'm like, I cannot imagine like when it's super violent and like stuff is getting real. I'm like, cause this is too much. So,
yeah, I almost became a part of that more violent, well, not violent, but like destructive protest. I decided like we were like just regularly peaceful marching down, fuck Trump, fuck the KKK, that kind of thing. And then this guy dressed in all black was like, all the real protesters, all the real patriots come this way. And then people started like deviating from like the main crowd and like walking with him. And I was just like, what's over there? And like, you just wasn't saying anything, just kind of like waving people over. And then me and my ex were kind of like looking at each other like, should we go? Like, but yeah, I'm just like, I don't think so. Like, I don't feel like this is a good idea. Like, I don't know what they're about to do over there. That's not what we came here for. So we kept walking, and then like not even 5 minutes later, we heard like what sounded like bombs, like boom, boom, and then like smoke coming from over there. They were like throwing tear gas and shit, and I'm like, damn, like I'm glad I did not go in that direction.
mm-hmm.
And then when we ended up like circling back around on the other end of the block, like they were sending SWAT teams and shit down there, and we saw like the broken windows at Starbucks and the limousine that was all fucked up and spray painted. And
That
it's
was
like, yeah, and it's like, I don't know. It just seemed like the police definitely didn't get violent and like, do anything with that. But I mean, things have definitely gotten a lot worse in America. And I
mm,
don't necessarily want to see them get to that point, but I know that if things keep happening the way it's happening without any real change, that it's gonna get like that. You can only push but so far before people are gonna react. Like, because you give them no other choice. They can't just live with a boot on their neck.
yeah. I am slightly nervous for when Trump, if Trump does get impeached. I am slightly nervous of what will happen because he has a following that are super loyal to him, and yeah, I just get a little nervous.
And the people that were loyal to him killed somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah, this whole so I haven't even really been keeping up Hong Kong like that. Like I've seen like stuff here and there, but for the most part, from what I've gathered from my knowledge from the whole situation, is that I think it's just bigger than like policies. I think it's tensions that have been boiling over. I think mainland China has always had a reputation for like throwing its weight around. You know what I'm saying? Like they already had
Right.
an accident based off this fucking Tiananmen massacre or whatever it's called, where they killed students and then tried to hide that shit. And I don't know if y'all heard, but there's like concentration camps for Muslims over in China or whatever. So there's like a lot of shit that China likes to keep on the low. But when you hear about China, like the forced mentality over there, oh, everything is great. China's one of the world powers. China, like for a long time, we thought China was about to like buy the U.S. I think this was like around the around like the financial crisis, like the worldwide financial crisis in like 2008, 2009. And then people were scared that China was just going to buy America or place America with all this debt because America actually owed the US and shit like that. So when it comes to Hong Kong and mainland China, I just felt like it was a whole bunch of tensions. Just now it's just boiling over. It's like, oh, y'all really trying to fuck us now, but y'all don't remember the time when you did this, and this. So
Right. It's just like that was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
right. It kind of reminds you of the LA riots a little bit, where there
Oh
was
my god.
all these little things started happening. You know what I'm saying? Black people,
Yeah. And then
essentially,
Rodney King
and
and
Rodney
that just
happened, and boom. So it's like seeing all of this is it's very interesting when you like watch news outside of the US because we're so used to seeing certain things like we're used to seeing police brutality, we're used to seeing Trump being a dumbass on TV, we're used to just a whole bunch of shit in America that's been happening for a very long time. So when we see other shit happening in like other places, we're only really invested because we like to see how they react to certain things, their cultures, their experiences, and how they fix things. And if they do get fixed over there, maybe we can apply that to our situation here a little bit. What did they do different that made them listen on a tougher regime like China? But we try to do the same thing in America, and it's not translating. You understand? It's like that type of thing, and seeing people's comments, seeing people stand in solidarity with Hong Kong, who used to be a colony, and now is trying to do its own thing and stuff like that. I feel like in a lot of cases we should what's the word I'm looking for? We should take inspiration from the fact that these are people that are gonna speak up when something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? I like not that we've never had that problem, obviously, but at the same but at the
we speak up about everything.
with everything it's like with everything that's happened so far. I mean, shit.
Yeah, but we speak up about things, but do we stand up for things?
Exactly. It's like, what do we do after the protest? We go out there, we misspell a couple times, we go out there, Black Lives Matter, and then shit, niggas is watching Empire or some shit. So it's like,
Like somebody in the room. I keep hearing it in the background. I don't know.
I'm catching up. It's the final season. I need to, you know what I'm saying?
It's all good though.
But like just like the way we handle things in general, it's nice to see other people like taking the initiative and then seeing what they do after they protest or get their stuff done. And then Hong Kong, actually, not to deviate from the conversation, of course, but Hong Kong isn't the only one that's protesting right now. Haiti is over there protesting right now because their president is doing some fuck shit or whatever.
Haiti
So
and Chile.
yeah. So,
Yeah, it's a lot going on in the world.
stay woke.
Too.
You know what's
Stay
funny?
woke.
Like I was at the inauguration, I was at that march, and I was marching along with most of the people that was saying the fuck Trump, fuck KKK. I was taking pictures and all that other stuff, and I saw these dudes in black, but I thought nothing of
Hmm.
it. And then,
Antifa.
and yeah, them Tifa boys, and then next thing you know, I'll go ride the metro, and because I left early before the whole Starbucks windows got crashed. I was on my phone then, and then I seen it that the Starbucks was broken in, and then what's that white boy Richard Spencer got punched by an Antifa dude.
Oh
I
yeah.
and then I see people like trying to burn stuff in the middle of DC Street, and had to take DC black dudes to stop it. And I was like, "Oh snap! I'm glad I left when I did, because even then, before even then, it got wild, and that's the first time I ever marched for something, and probably the last time I ever marched for something, because I thought it was kind of,
Oh,
I thought it was
yeah.
stupid. I'm sorry, like that was the first and last time I ever marched for something, and is just, but that as far as China goes, yeah, I do feel like since China was buying everything, they have a lot of stake in Africa, some of the Caribbean islands, and I feel like they're trying to come for America because a lot of stuff we got here is made in China. And I always thought, since I was young, I've always thought outsourcing our jobs to other countries was a bad idea because we don't really make stuff in America no more. I do feel like and the fact that we do owe China like trillions of dollars, I do feel like they're trying to like do what they did with other countries. They try to buy their countries, and now they have China is like China rules and all that other stuff. And I feel like us as stubborn as Americans, we're not letting it happen. But other than that, what's going on over there? I really do hope like shit does get settled because I'm not gonna lie. I learned this like last year that it was that Hong Kong was under British rules, and that makes sense because a lot of Hong Kong movies I watch, I always wonder why is always a white British person in there, and then someone told me that they're under British rules, and I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. So, as far as that goes, I do hope everything does work out in itself's favor. But I also think that us as Americans, we do not need to be in that business either. I think there's a lot of shit in America we need to settle with, and we don't really need to be getting into China's business. Anybody else got anything to say about that before we move on?
No, sir.
No.
All right. I guess we could talk about the my cancel culture trying to come at the My Hero Academia because one of um the what was her name, Hiei or something like that, one of the females, like all of a sudden she got a bigger bust in the anime than it was in the manga, and a lot of people are like really had some words to say about it, and I wanted to get y'all opinions on it if y'all knew about this or not.
I saw a glimpse of it, and I was trying to find it again, but I couldn't. So you just said they're mad at that the character has like big boobs.
The character. What happened is that in the manga, the character has a more modest size of breast, but in the anime episode that came out recently, she has a more buxom breast size, and the more the 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 group of people who don't like characters being sexualized or celebrate off of their physicality, they don't like that, so they're mad about it.
Okay.
I
Pretty
just
much
sent it
what's
in the
going on
group
there.
chat, just if you want to look at it for a little bit.
Okay. So, I guess this has always kind of like been a thing, and but the thing
Just in the
that
last 5 years.
yeah, and the thing that worries me is the term cancel culture. So cancel culture is like the most backwards shit I have ever seen in any social media movement ever. Oh, you're canceled. You're canceled. All right. Now what? You know what I mean? So it's like, I think the only hell, even R. Kelly isn't canceled fully. He still got fans. Like, I mean, yeah, they're all undesirables, but he still got fans.
Here's,
So,
here's the thing. Here's the thing about the American cancel culture. Can't cancel anime because anime doesn't come from this culture,
exactly.
and the weebs are going to watch it anyway because they love it. So they can't really do anything about it.
And also, like, it's Japan. I don't think there's anyone in Japan that's mad about it, or that I've seen so far.
This is a small group. This is a small group, but
Small, loud
that's the
ass.
same thing with here. The same thing with here is a small group here too. There's a small group here, it's a small group there. So it's just that they're more vocal over here because the internet and Tumblr and Twitter and stuff like that.
And I'm like, okay, so if you don't like the fact that the character has big boobs for whatever motive the people intended for it to be, then watch another anime. That's how you cancel it, right? You just don't talk about it, or you just say I don't agree with this, and then watch something else. My Hero
Because
Academia is still gonna make a shitload of money regardless of whether you cancel it or not because y'all loud ass minority. But your experience is valid. I'm not saying that you can't say what you said. Sure, if you don't agree, let your voice be heard. That's what we're here for. That's what the First Amendment protects. But at the same time, you really can't get mad at folks that don't see your point of view, and that's just it. Unless you're trying to cancel everybody that watches the show too. So if your little brother watched the show and he liked that character, you're gonna have to cancel your little brother. Shit.
I feel okay. As far as art goes, from an art standpoint, I feel like anytime when people try to depict someone else's art, I always kind of cringe at that because it's just like you can either draw your own, or like y'all been saying like throughout this whole podcast, go find something that pertains to you that you like, and then watch that and be
Watch
entertained by
Attack
that.
on Titan.
Like Attack on Titan.
They ain't got no titties. No titties nowhere.
Like there's a bunch of there's a bunch of animes and that will contain to you and your viewpoint and how you look stuff. If you like magical girl anime, there's that for you. If you like showing, there's that for you. If you like a more adult thing, there's a lot of shit for that. And as far as cancel culture, and as far as cancel culture comes in, yeah, it was like no one like. What if they ever canceled that people know? Because it seems like a lot of people like they want to feel like they have power to like cancel stuff or get stuff to stop watching, but it seems like it never goes their way, or people's just still going to watch it. So, I hope in 2020, like this whole cancel culture thing, like stops really, really, really strong. And that's just what I gotta say about that.
It
Anyone
will,
else?
because it's a new decade. And a new decade comes with a new trend.
I hope so, because there's a lot of things in 2000. I think shit should be just left in this decade, and cancel culture is one of them.
So as far as cancer culture, cancel culture, I do think that the tide is slowly turning in a different direction. I have friends all across the board, some who are very, very cancel culture, super duper liberal on the left, and then some who are on the right. Not necessarily the ones who are on the far right are not really my friends, but they're just on my Facebook. Anyway, the people on the far left who are definitely a part of that whole cancel culture thing, I'm hearing some conversations about, maybe we shouldn't be canceling everything, especially if they are one of the oppressed people to like, if they come from like, I guess if they're women or if they are minorities or something like that, then we shouldn't be so quick to like cancel them because, we're all part of the same struggle even if we don't agree on like, different topics and stuff. So, I mean, I don't think necessarily white straight men are safe from that. I don't know. But like, as far as everybody else, it seems that there's more of a, maybe we should be more focused on unity instead of canceling every single thing that slightly, upsets us. So as far as the topic, My Hero Academia and her breasts growing larger in the anime adaptation. Um, I am not, as a woman, I'm not personally outraged by it, although I'm not outraged by, most things, unless they're actually serious. I mean, for me, it's just kind of like a minor eye roll, like, okay, whatever, like just kind of another thing where, for entertainment's sake, they kind of exploit women's bodies in order to like, make things more appealing for people to watch and, have fun with or like whatever. And I think that some people are bothered by it. Now, the percentage of people who are actually outraged and are like, oh my God, this is a really horrible thing. Because like some people might be upset about it, but then it's like another case where you have like a small fraction of people who are actually upset. And then a huge wave in response saying, oh my God, I can't believe all these people are like so upset about it. And it's just like, are really everybody, all these women really upset about it? Or is it just a few? And you're upset that, people bring up this topic. So you're making it seem like it's a huge wave of like, I don't know. But personally, I have not seen any anime fans on my friend list even mention anything about it, so it doesn't seem that like most people really give a shit. Maybe just a few people, and like more people are actually upset at some people being upset than the amount of people who are actually upset about it.
Anybody else got some last words before we move on to the next topic?
I like big titties.
I also like big titties. Everybody likes big titties.
Not me.
I do too.
I like big titties with big
Mm-mm.
areolas.
Mm-mm.
Are you a fan of Jada Fire?
What?
You know who Jada Fire is?
No, I don't.
That is one fine chocolate motherfucker.
If I show you a
Well, yeah,
picture, you'd be like, "Oh, her." But I'll
yeah,
do it
yeah,
later.
yeah. Do it later. Yes, yes.
Okay. This is probably gonna be our last topic before we get to final thoughts. Do y'all want to talk about accountability, or do y'all want to talk about how basically video games have been terrible these past 2 years? In my opinion.
Video games. What's accountability? What's the accountability subject? What we talking about? We talking about accountability.
I mean, with the accountability, because I feel like in this, and like I said, in these past couple of years, a lot of people have not been taking accountability for some of their actions, especially when it comes to like let's say man versus woman, or straight man versus gay man, and or trans and all the other stuff. There's a lot of people that instead of just taking accountability, they'll probably throw the blame to like other things instead of just saying like,
I can
okay,
kind of see
we
that in
fucked up
certain
and all the other stuff.
instances. Yeah, let's do video games. Cause I actually go ahead about the video games. I actually was talking to somebody about this earlier.
Where this came from is because WWE 2K20 came out and it's terrible. And Wallace, father, he actually like ranted on someone. He was like, "Y'all bought the game. Y'all knew it was trash. It was trash last year. It's been trash years before that, and yet y'all still be putting y'all $60 games into like most sports titles like Madden, 2K, WWE 2K, etc. Even games like Anthem and Mass Effect and the first Destiny. And a lot of people have been saying like the games have been trash. It seems like the developers haven't been like on their A game how they was like 10 years ago. And I just wanted your thoughts on how the video game industry is like really been off the ball lately. Because I feel like it's been terrible these past couple years.
Well, here's the thing from how I see it. You have
Especially
games.
for AAA titles. Let me just say that. Especially from AAA titles. Go ahead, Clarence.
Here's the thing. You got games like God of War. You got the Nintendo games like Zelda and Mario Odyssey, where they actually put care and Horizon. What's it? Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh,
Yeah, that's what it's called.
is that the one with the dinosaur? With the
Yeah,
woodland
that's the
creatures that are robots? Yeah,
Yeah, the prehistoric robots.
yeah. You got games like those that have thought put into it, quality. They're trying to build. They're trying to do some world building. They're trying to give you some good mechanics. And then you have the annual game, the game that comes out every year. And those are usually the games that you got to look out for. Those are the games that usually have low quality because they're trying to push it out. They're not really trying to give you a artistic endeavor. They're trying to give you a yearly. It's like a yearly update, pretty much, but on disc.
Barely is even an update.
But yeah, and those are the games you got to look out for. If a game comes out every year, it probably is not going to have the best substance or quality in the game.
God, man, it's like, and I really wasn't trying to come across as mean, but I just had to say it because I've seen these people year after year after year after year, always talking about, man, this game is trash. This game used to be so good, now it's trash. And then when another edition of the game comes out, they're the first motherfuckers in line talking about, My friends have it. I just want to play with my friend. Like, bruh, that's why they keep messing y'all asses. I heard so in regards to WWE 2K20, which has a shitload of bugs and a shitload of problems. Excuse me. There was one person that was like, "Hey, I'm really disappointed in this game, but I really hope they get their act together for next year." I saw that shit and I saw red. I flipped out. I couldn't take it anymore. I never, bro. That was the time I saw. That was the time that I would say I had fucking Twitter fingers because I went off. I was like, this right here, this comment, this shit that you said right here is exactly why these motherfuckers keep finessing your asses every single motherfucking year because of mentalities like that. And he stopped replying. He didn't even reply anymore. I think he probably just muted me because he stopped replying. And I'm like, good. You motherfuckers know what you're doing. You know that these games come out year after year and they finessing your ass. But you keep buying it because oh, I need this game. You know, it has a new fresh paint on it. It's the latest version. It's the latest version.
It's a
No,
habit.
yeah, it's not the latest version because it's always updating. Like Ray, excuse me again. For the season premieres of Raw and SmackDown, right? They have new sets, pyro and everything, right?
Right.
They don't have that shit in 2K20 though, because that game was in development right after the last game was released. So where is the update that we're talking about? Ain't no update, nigga. All they're doing is just taking new facial models and shit, and then just pushing them in the game, and then trying to re-release it with like new little code here and there, new little features here and there and shit. I'm like, y'all finessing these people. And they're falling for the finesse because these are consumers. These are not gamers. They're selling it to consumers. WWE 2K20 is not marketed towards gamers. It's marketed towards people who watch wrestling who just so happen to have a PS4.
Fandom. It's marketed towards a fandom. Kind of like Dragon Ball Z games are marketed. They're marketed towards the fandom, not necessarily towards people who are game connoisseurs or people who like looking for a game with the best mechanics and the most immersive experiences and stuff, or the most challenging experiences. It's marketed towards a fandom.
I'm glad you brought that up, Clarence, because RDC World did a fucking skit like that. I don't know if you saw it, but the skit where there was like in a little meeting room, and then they was talking about how they was gonna have like one button combos and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of those games got one button combos actually.
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, it's a skit, but he is 100% on the money right there. I think that's probably how they market everything. Because let's take a game like Jump Force, right? Which is absolute trash. That
garbage.
What I think that's like top 5 worst games in like this generation. Like top 5. That's how bad the game
was. That was a disappointing game. Like it had potential to be great, but they found some way to fuck it up with simplicity.
Not only just
I think
like the game isn't done. Let's just be honest. The game is not done. The game is unfinished.
No, it's not.
And then they put in a little. What's it called? The little story mode or whatever. It's like, hey, you get to fight alongside your favorite heroes, and I'm like, I don't care about no fucking story. This is supposed to be a crossover game. I'm supposed to have people from this series, that series, this series, that series. You got people in there that make no goddamn sense. Why the hell is Light Yagami in the game? Okay, sure, yeah, he's in there for shock factor, but the nigga got a damn notebook and a Shinigami.
And then he was gonna write their name in the book and win.
Write their name in the book.
They representing too many of One Piece, Naruto, and Dragon Ball Z as well. They need to spread the representation around a little bit.
That's also very true too. Why do One Piece and fucking Naruto have like 5 characters and other characters got like 1 or 2? My Hero Academia is like the most popping anime out right now. They only got 1 character. What?
They got 3 actually now.
Oh, yeah,
they got 3 now. They got they got Deku, All Might, and the explodey guy. Can't remember his name right now.
Bakugo.
By the way, I'm still on team. I hate Bakugo. Fuck that nigga. But anyway,
I am too.
That game represents everything that is wrong with like who's playing video games right now. Which is why I said, Ray, you remember me saying this? You remember me saying this a long time ago? We should have fucking had a big ass gate when it came to gaming. It should not have been as inclusive as it is. I don't care what no one say. I know everybody wants to do the whole
Yeah.
diversity, inclusive, we're all one, kumbaya shit. I'm sorry, I'm just not that way anymore. A long time ago, I was with it, but now we got too many undesirables, and it's just ruining the damn shit. I can't even enjoy half the games I'm playing anymore because the motherfuckers that's getting online either can't be bothered to learn the damn game they're playing, or are so just damn like simple minded that they complain about the game being hard instead of actually doing research about
Yeah,
the game and
yeah, because
is.
even the fighting games these days are becoming more simplistic, giving you auto combos and stuff in fighting games. Back in my day, sound like old man. Back in my day, you actually had to learn the combo mechanics to do a combo. Now you can do auto combos and shit as a
Yeah,
Hell, you
main
didn't
as a
even have a
main
damn
mechanic.
command list. You had to figure
Yeah,
them joints out
exactly.
yourself.
Right. You had to learn what move cancels into another move and stuff. Now they just give you the whole thing just by pressing square.
and then they want to call it a community because a nigga done fucking throw a 15-minute video on YouTube on how to press the square button to do a combo. Fuck out my face. But but like back to what you just said, Clarence. The fact that games back in the day didn't really give you much created the community in the first place. The reason why the FGC is the way it was the way it was because it has history. You feeling what I'm saying? Back in like the
Right.
90s, early 2000s, there was an arcade scene, and the fighting game people were selling cabinets all over the place. So if your local spot had a cabinet with a certain game on it, that garnered a community. Now y'all was having little weekly tournaments to see who the best was. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was constantly figuring out tech, and people was around you. So everybody is learning at the same time. So no matter who you play, no matter who you play, you learning something. You feel, oh shit, how'd you figure that out? Oh, bro, I just did it. Boom, tech. That's how tech is shared. So now you have this community, and you have everybody who's learning the game together in that little community. Y'all having weekly tournaments, and then you wait a minute. That arcade over there saying they the best. All right, let's go over there and bust their ass. Y'all go over there, y'all get your ass bust. Oh shit, them niggas is good. We should practice some more. So then y'all start picking up your shit and start stepping it up by everyone in the community trying to learn more, trying to figure out anti-tech and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, the game has depth. Y'all just invested.
Right.
Y'all investing more than quarters in these games, in these little arcades. Y'all investing time, effort. Y'all investing knowledge. Y'all like just a whole bunch of layers of investment that transformed into just a boom and a plethora of other fighting games coming out that was made by us. You feel what I'm saying? That was made by people who actually play video games. You know what I'm saying? Because you wouldn't call people who read all the popular books a bookworm. Like a motherfucker read what's that book called? Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey or whatever, and think they doing something. But what about the people who was reading all the Harry Potters, all the Game of Thrones, and the little side stories and all that little shit? Like actual bookworms that have libraries of books that they've read. You know what I'm saying? Why don't we have the same respect for gaming? Because there's so many people that, like, let's say Maximilian, for example. Maximilian is a gamer. As cringy as he may be sometimes, that man's a gamer. He'll play a video game
Let's go.
yeah, exactly. That's why I respect Max. Because that motherfucker just plays video games. And he don't play it for the clout. He play it because he's a gamer. But I'm just
They
tired.
make
Yeah.
they
But
make it modes for games now where you just watch the cutscenes and kind of like passively play the game where it's not a challenge at all for casuals who don't play games. Like if you don't play games and you want to watch a movie or see a story, watch a goddamn movie
we
or
gotta
play.
I'm not going to lie, Clarence. Sometimes the games cutscenes are better than movies because movies are on some other shit. But continue what you were saying.
Yeah. or play those Telltale games, those type of games.
They went out of
Why you?
business.
Or just watch the goddamn cutscenes on YouTube. Why is the games like they got these journalists on here on the internet complaining about like um Neo and Dark Souls and stuff like that.
Oh,
But
the
that
game is
game,
too hard.
yeah, game is too hard. Like the game is for gamers, for hardcore gamers, old school gamers. It's not for you per se.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
if you having a tough time with Dark Souls, do not play Ghouls and Goblins. That game gonna whoop your
Oh
ass.
shit, Ghosts and Goblins will fuck you up.
That's another game that makes me curse at the TV. That's I have a slew of games that just make me curse at the TV. Super Mario Brothers 2, Pac-Man, Ghosts and Goblins, and whoever I'm playing on Tekken sometimes. And Soul Calibur, what happened yesterday with Wallace? That's bruh. Like, but I enjoy myself when I play them. Um, but as far as I've been saying, yeah, I feel like there are some games that has been lazy. I feel like there are games that have been lazy, like Anthem. If you ever heard the story how Anthem was developed, you'd be very disappointed. If you just saw games like Watch Dogs and how Watch Dogs was supposed to be developed, and like it was supposed to look like this really, really good 4K, but when you finally got the game didn't look at it was promised. And you have game and especially like and this is going for all my people that play sports and 2K and all that stuff. I'm specifically talking about that. I stopped buying Madden when Calvin Johnson was on the cover. That's years ago. When I realized that I didn't like Madden to a point that I would buy it every year, I stopped buying it. This 2K, the 2K20 that came out is garbage. And every time I'm on YouTube, there's a different YouTuber complaining about how trash it is and how terrible the game is, and yet they still have the game. They're trying to make content. And as a YouTuber, I could kind of understand because if your channel was based on 2K, you kind of want your game to be good and you want them to be good. But especially for like games like 2K and the people that are running it, you could tell that they do not give a shit about you but your money. Now, and I can when I played the demo for 2K20, I literally said to myself, I am not getting 2K20. It's shit just like, and I wish that other people was saying that because even though 2K19 was okay, like people liked it better than 2K18, it was an improvement. But people was also saying if 2K20 is not up to my expectations, they're not gonna get it. Yet there are people that still bought the game. Not only bought the game, they was telling other people to buy the games. They got people that's contractually obligated to make you buy the games and play it. And then you got all these loot boxes and microtransitions. Like games like Call of Duty and Fallout 76 got this $100 people spending over $100 for loot boxes and all that other stuff. Fallout 76 got $100 subscription, which is baffling. And it's just like it's obvious they don't want nothing but your money, and the game they're putting out is not triple A quality and trash, and yet people are still buying it. I really do people want to know that if you want them to change it, don't buy their shit. Because obviously, if that's the only way you can like hit them is in their wallet, is in their pocket. If this shit doesn't fucking come up to your par, then don't buy it. Tony, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Hey, you said about man. You hear me?
Yeah.
You said a thing about man right now. The difference between a lot of games was back in the days that the updates could change. A lot of people complain. I don't know how it is with 2K, but I know I'm a man guy, and you know that from all these I've been playing man. A lot of complaints will go in and they will change it by update when you play online, and they'll change the whole game. That's the kind of difference between was back in the days where you just buy the game and you gotta suck it up as it is. Where it's different right now, a lot of games, if you start complaining on it, they could give you an online update, and sometimes they could change the game to make things better.
Okay, like I said, for Madden, I don't play Madden no more, so I don't know if their updates and patches actually fix the game. But as far as 2K, like I said, I don't have the game, but as far as I've been following on YouTube, they've been having 7 patches in the past month, and they still haven't fixed the game. The game is actually, from what people tell me, or for what I've seen, it's worse off than it was before. There's glitches in the game that doesn't make it fun. They're actually taking away they're making it more grindy, especially with 2K, they making it more grindy, so you have to play more and then like make you spend money to put these players up. So like I said, like
Yeah,
Madden 10
I
years
heard
ago,
that. I heard
yeah,
about that.
Madden
That,
10.
that you got to grind a lot to get your players up a lot more. Like you'll grind, you got to grind 3 times harder than it was from last year to grind 1 time to equals 3 times to 1 time from last year. I heard about that.
And people aren't trying to do that. Some people just want to play basketball and all that other stuff. Especially if you have your own creative character, you kind of like want to grind to a point where you can be like, okay, I can take him to the courts and he'll be good. And the game is not letting you do that. The game is like, oh no, you're going to grind the hell out of this until we tell you it's good, and
Unless you
that's
have
really
money.
dishonest. Unless you
Unless you
have
have
money.
money. Yeah, because a lot of it is they'll make you grind so much they force you to spend money. And what it is that a lot of people that got money will spend. They'll spend all this money on they play or they game. Same thing with Man 2. You realize you're like, oh my gosh, how you got all this stuff? The game only been out in a week, and when it's kind of like a cheat. When they got money to spend, it is a disadvantage to players that just want to play the game just in a time to do it. When you realizing that the game been out like in 2 weeks, and you got a 99 overall, and you dunking from half court and shit, doing a fadeaway, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm with father because I'm like, all right, I took an L for 2K19 last year, even though 2K19 wasn't that bad. And I was like, but I'm like, I'm not buying 2K20 because they're not gonna get my money anymore. And there's a lot of people that doesn't like 2K20, but they'll still buy it anyway because it's the only basketball game where you can still, like most people, just play last year's game because it's the same game ported over with just a new coat of paint, just like y'all been saying. Just just play the last year's game or play a version of the game that you think is best. Because let's say for fighting games, my favorite game is Third Strike. I'll play Third Strike before I will play Street Fighter Five sometimes because I may not like the mechanics of Street Fighter Five. Even though it's the more popular game and it's the one they update the most, I don't have to go to that game. I can go to other games that I don't have to stress out and feel like I'm not getting nowhere with it. And that's what I'm saying. Does anybody else want to say something about that?
What
Yeah,
mechanics did you not like about Street Fighter Five in particular?
Crush counters. I think crush counters. I don't know, something about crush counters, and I I don't know. It's just me as a Third Strike fan. I do compare a lot of games to like Third Strike, and if it's fun or not. Like I can play Street Fighter Five, but there's been times, and this may have to deal with the online too, because a lot of games I really stopped playing because of online. Because that's why I stopped playing Xenoverse, because online is trash. In not Xenoverse, Dragon Ball Fighters. The online is really trash. I love the game, but the online is trash. Is sometimes the online latency, and then there's like shit that things people get away with, and then there's like I play people from Brazil, and their lag is really terrible, and it really fucks up your game. So it's sometimes it's online lag, it's the crush counter, and sometimes the mechanics in the game is you just don't like it. It's
Mm.
and also sometimes this is stop why I stopped playing Soul Calibur 5. None of my mains are in it. Like it's I like Young Sun but in 5 he wasn't in it. Uh, it's like a slew of reasons just for each different games. But like I said, I can play Street Fighter 5. I'm okay at Street Fighter 5, but if you ask me would I play that or would I play Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, I'm gonna tell you Third Strike 10 out of 10 times.
Mm. Did you like 4 better than 5?
I hate 4. I hate 4.
So
four
which
is
one you like better between the two of those? 4 and 5. Which one you like better between 4 and 5?
5.
5. Okay. I would
5
have
and
to.
4 has my main in it, which is Makoto. 4 has my favorite character in it,
Yeah, yeah,
but 5.
yeah. But as far as those annual games that continuously come out as trash, though, if your game comes out as trash twice, don't buy the third one, and continue to not buy the third one until you hear that they actually adding some quality and some effort into that game. Like they came out with 2 Sonic games that I didn't approve of the last 2 times, not including Mania, but that was made by a fan and not made by a Sonic team or really Sega. So I'm not whatever Sonic 3D game they got coming out or modern game they got coming out. I'm not buying it because the last 2 was not of the quality that I wanted. So everybody got to do the same to the game of their choice, the game series or franchise of their choice, because they understand money.
Yep.
Like you could talk all the shit you want online about how this game is trash and they don't do this and they don't do that. But if you buy the game every time it comes out and everybody buys it every time, they're gonna keep on making it because apparently the quality is not that big of an issue for you in their mind.
So I'm totally down for that. But these motherfuckers nowadays that's playing these video games, they ain't gonna do shit. They just gonna stay there and play their damn game. These are people that buy PS4s just because, hey, PS4 got that one little feature where you put the disc in and it does a little flip. I'm gonna buy the PS4. Like these are people like they buy shit for the most superficial reasons. Like I'm pretty sure people just bought Jump Force because it was an anime game. It was a game with anime characters in it, so that was enough for $60.
They
Even though
probably had Yusuke in it and they was like, oh shit, they got Yusuke, I'm buying it.
yeah, like I'm like some of the reasons that people buy these motherfucking games. You can even see it in some of the DLC choices in some of these fighting games, Negan and Tekken. Everyone's like, what the fuck? I mean, cool, but what? You know what I'm saying? What's it called? The Terminator being in Mortal Kombat, like, I guess, sure. They only doing that just to make a pretty ass penny because they got that little contract with Warner Brothers, and since they got money, and the new Terminator movie's coming out, product placement. Product
Yeah,
placement.
that's all that shit is product placement.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if all y'all play Marvel Ultimate Alliance or not, but they added Morpheus in there just because Sony's making a Morpheus movie. That's the only reason he in there. Otherwise, he wouldn't be. They probably would put another character in his place.
Hell, we can even talk about Marvel versus Capcom because when Ultimate coming out, that was when Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out. That's why Rocket Raccoon was in there. And then when
Right.
Infinite came out, what they had Black Panther because I think it was around the time where Black Panther was in development. Just the whole Civil War and the Avengers things was going on. So they added Ultron,
Yeah.
they added Black Widow, they added all these other characters that usually wasn't in the game. They added Thanos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
That
then
was a good segue for Sigma though. I've been
yeah,
waiting for Sigma to pop up in one of those games.
yeah, and that was cool. But it just seems like
Mm-hmm.
with these games, it's more product placement. I can see they really trying to go for them sponsors. You know what I'm saying? Now that esports is a thing, there's more
Right.
incentive for developers that start adding more. Like little. If someone is sponsoring an esports event, then they got to put the sponsor in the game somehow. And I'm just like, bruh. And then you got the thing everybody hates them little GameStop DLC exclusives and shit. And just all that little dumb shit that they be adding to the games nowadays. And I'm like, bro, this don't even feel like games no more. It feel like visual advertisements. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why like I'm really going heavy on indie gaming now. Because these indie developers,
Yeah.
these are made for gamers by gamers. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the magic is still there when you play a game like Shovel Knight. The magic is still there, even though as cringy as it is, Undertale, when you play that, you know what I'm saying? These are still video games at their core. Like it appealed to us old school gamers where we had PS1s and N64s. They didn't have huge ass budgets that they can blow on fucking atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? They had to make do with what they got. And most times those experiences were amazing. Like, do you remember
And they
the
had to
first
add
time?
catchy music too,
Yeah.
because a lot of times the catchy music took place in the atmosphere, and you can get a lot out of the catchy music. A lot of times these days, especially a lot of Western games, don't even have music even worth noticing.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And and I keep telling people, like, especially the old school gamers, like, we can remember the first time we ever played Resident Evil. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was 1 or 2, the fear we had playing that game, because we don't know what the fuck was happening next. There was no YouTube, there was none of that. We just went in blind. The game didn't give you shit. Half of them didn't even give you a map. You had to figure that shit as you go. You know what I'm saying? You ain't know if there was a zombie in the next room or ammo in the next room. You had to guess. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. That creates impressions on us. That's why we're really critical when it comes to the games we play. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure we could all remember the very first time we played a game like maybe I don't want to say Ocarina of Time. I'm trying to think of something more. Um, let's say the very first time we ever played like Crash Bandicoot or some shit. Just the colors, you know what I'm saying? The imagination really ran wild in some of those like some of the platforming sections of the game and shit like that. Like when you have shit like that, not saying that it's not here, but when you have shit like that that's built on a foundation and compared to the shit we got now, you can't tell me gaming is at a better place now. It's not. We may got more money, we may got more corporate sponsorships and shit like that, but where's the fucking heart and soul, bro?
That's what I was saying. Like I saw a bit. I saw like a fan made poster for like PlayStation All Stars. I saw those PlayStation characters. I was like, I don't want to buy this with all these dry ass looking characters wearing regular clothing from Walmart.
Right.
Where's the creativity in a lot of these characters? Like, where's the like? Because Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, those are like Sony's most like advertised friendly looking characters as far as like marketing that type of game, but they don't even make games like that. Everything's trying to be a movie now
Yeah.
or simulate Hollywood in some way.
Yeah. What was that game with what's was it Until Dawn? Is that the game name?
Until
Yeah, the dude
Dawn.
from Walking
Yeah,
Dead is on it. Yeah, Until Dawn, that game.
yeah.
The Kojima joint. I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, not no, it wasn't
That's
Until.
not Until Dawn. That's
I
what is
forgot what
that?
game it's called.
Man, you know what that game is that Kojima coming out with
Yeah, the
next year?
Kojima game.
It's on the tip of my tongue, and I'm going to look it up. But
Death Stranding.
I don't know what it is.
Death
Death
Stranding.
Stranding.
Yeah,
That's what it's called.
yeah, that game. Like, I'm looking at all these little trailers. Like, they've been having trailers for that game for like 2 years now, and every time I see it, I'm just like, this shit look fucking boring.
Pretty much. It's shaping up to be a little something, something, but I gotta see more of it straight up.
Yeah,
It's shaping up to be some type of
I agree with
abstract,
you.
some type of abstract. 'Cause, Dave Kojima, he do a lot of weird abstract stuff in his games,
That is
but the
true.
games are, the games are usually so slow paced because even Metal Gear was slow paced.
Yeah, it was very slow pace. Any last words before we move on to the next our final thoughts?
Make gaming great again. Remove the undesirables.
The casuals, I mean, like casuals can play, but I don't think they should market gaming as a whole. I don't think they should market 70% of the games that come out towards casuals. They could have casual games, but that shouldn't be the main focus. And that's kind of what they're doing with most of these games that's coming out. They're marketing
Yeah,
them
because
towards casuals.
back in the day we had casual games. They just didn't oversaturate the market with them. So I definitely agree there.
They didn't make the games based off of them.
Yeah.
With that all being said, Final Fantasy VII better be good. And I will be highly disappointed if Final Fantasy VII is not good.
That game
So,
can't afford to be bad.
huh?
I said that game cannot afford to be bad. With the way people was bitching for that shit to be remade, if it was trash, people would throw away their PS4s.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Now, I guess on to our final thoughts, and I guess Tony, if you're here, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I know I came in late. I was in a meeting. My final thoughts is Watchmen, leading black female, killing KK members. Awesome.
I need to get.
Mm. That's a weird plot for Watchmen.
Yeah, she's the leading black role. Regina King, the same girl to do the voice of Boondocks, is the lead.
Ooh, I love Regina
Yes,
King.
yes. She's the lead role in the Watchmen, and she killing KK members.
And she fine as shit.
Yeah, and she finally showed
I
them
need to
pretty
watch
ass
So
that.
so
eyes.
so what's up with that? What's the plot? What's the plot in that? Is that come
So,
after the original
so,
series?
so what it is that the superhero's not there. And what it is that this it only came on the first episode. I don't want to tell y'all the first episode, but what it is that the police officers are hiding their identity, and they're going around trying to get coats and KKK members that's going around killing people and stuff. So they hide their identity, so they kind of like superheroes. Yeah, I gotta check out the first episode though. I don't want to tell y'all too much, but I got my wife on that jump, and my wife did a fucking cartwheel off that jump. She said that jump was exciting as hell, and she only like a lot of superhero jumps. But the jump is good. Like they actually mentioned that Oklahoma. They mentioned in Oklahoma that a lot of
The
KKK
Tulsa
members
bombing.
came. Yeah, so they mentioned that in the show, the first beginning of the show, and they show how the white people came and they started killing a whole rack of black people and dropping bombs in the town, and they back in that town years later, and they fighting KKK members. But I don't want to say too much, but y'all gotta check that joint out, man. That shit straight though.
I might just check it out for that. Shining Wolf. You got any final thoughts?
No. I pretty much said what I had to say about anything that went on. I'm good.
Father.
So I know we didn't talk about the Harriet Tubman thing, but I just want to say real quick,
Oh,
just real quick, I, as a full-blooded Ghanaian man, do not condone any African in the continent talking greasy about Black Americans. I will actually beat the fuck out you if I ever see you talking greasy about Black Americans. That's all. That's pretty much like what I have to say, and that's why I am also not going to be watching the Harriet Tubman movie because the actress in there is Nigerian, and shout out to the Nigerian brothers and sisters, but there needs to be a conversation within the Nigerian diaspora about y'all arrogance in some of these little places that you be going to. And no, it's not all Nigerians, but there is this arrogance about them that that it kind of leaks out in certain instances when they're conducting businesses and stuff like that. And Nigerians are very hardworking people, and we may have our little petty beefs. Our jollof is better, of course. Fight me if you want to, but at the same time, we fuck with y'all. That's family. That's West African family. But at the same time, I gotta tell the truth. And based on what I've been seeing, certain Africans come over to America, and then all of a sudden it's, man, we're better than you. Man, y'all have no culture. I was told as a child, don't marry no black American woman and all this shit. A lot of shit I had to, unlearn, during my time. But on top of that, I also have to say that it's not completely their fault because you have to remember Africa was colonized. So there's going to be ignorance when it comes to them coming over here and then hearing like Black American plight because they're getting fed what Black Americans are through the lens of white supremacy and through the lens of colonization. So it's not 100% their fault. You understand? They don't really understand how deep it is in America. Because when you really learn the history of America and how they treated, Black Americans in this country, and the same Black Americans that they forced to, build the White House and make millions of dollars in the land soaked in their blood, along with Native Americans and shit like that. They don't know all that. They're not educated in none of that. So when they come over here, they usually looking at white people like, hey, y'all the ones with the money, so we just gonna side with you. So it's by design. They're not doing it just because they hate Black Americans. As a matter of fact, if you went to Africa right now, any country in Africa, you'll probably get a welcome home. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen this plenty of times. You can even find it in YouTube. What Africans really think of Black Americans and stuff like that. Welcome home. Then we do the same thing with Caribbeans. As a matter of fact, Ghanaians and Jamaicans, we're like this. That's like those are like my brothers. Same thing with Haitian people. Those are my brothers. Those are my sisters. So that's why I can't rock with the Harriet Tubman movie, because the woman playing in the role of Harriet Tubman made very disgusting comments about Black Americans, and I cannot, by virtue of my morals and my principles and what I stand for, I cannot stand for that. So I will not be
Hey,
watching.
do you know what she said? Because I couldn't find what she said.
Yeah,
I want.
I can send it to you.
All right, cool, cool.
But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Does Cosmosis Jones got anything to say? Because I don't know if she's there or not.
I'm here. I guess the only thing I have to say is if it ain't hurting nobody, then we don't really need to be outraged about it.
That's in
Sure.
general.
In general, like for anybody, like the whole outrage, this is deeply offensive to me, whether you're offended at somebody else being offended by something or whatever. If it's at the end of the day, it's really not a big deal. It's not hurting anybody. It's not doing anything to harm society. It's just you and your feelings about something. Like, I mean, it's not a humongous topic of conversation like that we need to focus our whole lives around the media and like, making a huge, scandal out of it. That's it. I'm gonna keep it short.
I First of all, I'm glad the Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles, go Cowboys. Also, um, I'm glad that we was able to talk about most stuff. I don't know if we're gonna be able to talk about accountability soon, but I still feel like that's gonna be a conversation we're gonna talk about. But I'm gonna just say this: I feel like like 2020, since 2020 is a couple months ahead, I feel like as people, I hope with this new decade, we have new types of attitudes and everything from 2019 that was toxic, that was bad, that doesn't need to be there. I hope it stays in 2019. I hope in 2020. I know New Year, New Me sounds corny, but I really hope that we have a different type of train of thought going into 2020 that's more positive, that everyone can agree on, that's inclusive to everybody, no matter what race you are, no matter what binary, no matter what pronoun you call yourself. I hope for all positive vibes going to 2020. And I would like to thank everybody that came on the show again. I feel like we done have another great episode. I feel like these podcast shows been like rolling on a good cylinder. We've been having good vibes, and I hope to keep doing that. I would like to thank y'all listening and talk our shit again. Once again, this is You Know What? Let me just say podcast and signing out. Peace.